2026 all-new Honda NX500 is unreal. The adventure bike nobody saw coming. Stop scrolling, because Honda may have just created one of the most interesting adventure motorcycles of 2026, and it might be hiding in plain sight. Meet the 2026 Honda NX500, a motorcycle that doesn't need a giant engine, a six-figure price tag, or an intimidating size to make a serious statement. This is Honda's answer to riders who want to escape the city, attack winding roads, explore gravel routes, and spend an entire weekend riding without needing a motorcycle that feels like a heavyweight expedition machine. And here's where things get really interesting. The 2026 NX500 starts at just $6,899 in the United States before destination charges. That's $500 less than the previous model year US MSRP, making this adventure machine even harder to ignore. But don't mistake the lower price for a stripped-down motorcycle. The NX500 arrives with a 471cc liquid-cooled parallel twin engine, 6-speed transmission, standard ABS, long travel suspension, adventure styling, an adjustable windscreen, and the kind of practical design that makes you start imagining your next road trip before you've even turned the key. Honda calls it accessible adventure touring, but after looking at what this motorcycle offers, that description may actually be underselling it. Because the real question isn't whether the NX500 can go far. The question is how much adventure you can handle before the road finally runs out. At the center of the 2026 NX500 is a 471cc liquid-cooled DOHC parallel twin engine, and this is one of the biggest reasons the bike feels so different from a typical entry-level adventure motorcycle. Instead of giving you a small single-cylinder engine that feels perfectly happy around town but becomes strained at highway speeds, Honda gives the NX500 a twin-cylinder power plant designed around smooth, usable performance. The engine uses programmed fuel injection with 34mm throttle bodies, a 10.7:1 compression ratio, and 4 valves per cylinder. The result is a motorcycle that doesn't need to scream to make progress. Twist the throttle, work through the 6-speed gearbox, and the NX500 delivers the kind of predictable response that makes long-distance riding much less intimidating. Honda's European specification lists 47 horsepower at 500 revolutions per minute, and 43 Newton-meters of torque at 500 revolutions per minute, although specifications can vary by market. And that's the secret behind the NX500's appeal. It's not trying to be the fastest adventure bike in the world. It's trying to be the bike that you can ride every day, take on a long trip, point toward a mountain road on Saturday morning, and still enjoy when Monday morning arrives. That balance is incredibly difficult to achieve, and Honda has been refining this 500cc platform for years. Now look at the motorcycle itself, because this is where the NX500 starts looking much more serious than its price suggests. The design immediately communicates adventure, with a tall stance, upright riding position, adventure-inspired bodywork, tall windscreen, LED lighting, and a chassis designed to give the rider freedom of movement. Honda describes the styling as rugged, stylish, and practical, and that's exactly what makes the NX500 so appealing. You don't have to be preparing for a 6-month expedition across multiple continents to justify owning one. You can use it for commuting during the week and then disappear down a back road on the weekend. The upright ergonomics are particularly important here. Instead of forcing the rider into an aggressive sport bike position, the NX500 gives you a commanding view of traffic and a comfortable posture for longer journeys. And when the pavement ends, that same riding position gives you more room to move around the motorcycle. This is an adventure tour built around versatility rather than intimidation. It doesn't scream, "Look how extreme I am." Instead, it quietly asks one question: where are we going next? Then there's the suspension, and this is an area where the NX500 becomes surprisingly serious. Up front, Honda equips the 2026 model with a 41mm inverted Showa SFFBP fork, offering 5.9 inches of travel. At the rear, there's a Showa single shock with 5.3 inches of travel. Those numbers tell you something important. Honda didn't design the NX500 simply as a street motorcycle-wearing adventure bodywork. The suspension has enough travel and ground clearance to make uneven roads, broken pavement, gravel, and rougher surfaces part of the motorcycle's intended personality. Ground clearance is listed at 7.1 inches, while the front wheel uses a 110/80/19 tire and the rear uses a 160/60/17. The 19-inch front wheel is particularly interesting because it provides a useful compromise between road manners and light off-road capability. This isn't a dedicated enduro machine, and it shouldn't be confused with one. But that's actually the point. The NX500 is designed to live in the enormous territory between ordinary street bikes and serious off-road machines. You can attack corners on asphalt, cross rough roads, explore gravel, and keep going without constantly asking yourself whether the motorcycle is capable of handling what's coming next. And then Honda adds something that shouldn't be overlooked. ABS comes standard. The 2026 NX500 uses dual 296mm front discs with 4-piston calipers and ABS, paired with a 240mm rear disc and ABS. That matters because adventure touring isn't always about perfect weather and perfect pavement. One minute you're cruising along a dry highway, and the next you're dealing with rain, gravel, mud, or a surface you didn't expect. Having ABS as standard equipment gives the NX500 an additional layer of confidence when conditions become unpredictable. Honda specifically highlights the system's ability to provide smoother, more controlled stops in conditions such as rain and gravel. And for riders moving into adventure touring for the first time, confidence is everything. You don't want a motorcycle constantly reminding you of its limitations. You want one that encourages you to explore. The NX500's combination of manageable dimensions, standard ABS, predictable engine response, and long travel suspension creates exactly that kind of confidence. It may not have the massive electronics package of a flagship adventure bike, but that's part of its charm. The NX500 focuses on the fundamentals, engine, chassis, brakes, comfort, and practicality, and puts those fundamentals within reach of a much larger audience. But here's where the NX500 becomes more than just an adventure-styled motorcycle: touring. Honda gives the NX500 a 4.7-gallon fuel tank in the US specification, along with a 32.8-inch seat height and a curb weight listed at 432 pounds on the main 2026 US specification page. That combination makes the bike practical for riders who want to cover serious distances without moving into the much larger and more expensive adventure bike category. The tall windscreen helps provide protection from the elements, while the upright seating position is designed around comfort and freedom of movement. And Honda doesn't stop with the motorcycle itself. The company lists accessories including a center stand, hand guards, heated grips, hard luggage, and other equipment, with 18 accessories referenced on its 2026 US model page. Suddenly, you can picture the NX500 with luggage loaded, a jacket strapped down, a full tank of fuel, and a destination hundreds of miles away. That's the beauty of this motorcycle. It doesn't demand that you choose between everyday practicality and adventure. It gives you a platform that can be configured for both. And for many riders, that may be far more useful than owning an enormous adventure bike that spends most of its life parked in a garage. Now let's talk technology, because this is where some riders may be surprised. The NX500 doesn't attempt to turn itself into a rolling smartphone with an overwhelming number of electronic menus. Instead, Honda keeps the experience relatively straightforward. The motorcycle features digital instrumentation showing information such as speed, engine RPM, odometer, trip information, and fuel information. It also gets Honda's slipper/assist clutch, which Honda says reduces clutch lever effort by 45% compared with previous systems, and helps minimize rear-wheel hop during hard deceleration. That's the sort of technology that might not make for the biggest advertisement, but you notice it every single time you ride. Less effort in traffic, easier gear changes, more confidence when braking aggressively. And because the NX500 is designed around accessible adventure riding, simplicity becomes a feature rather than a weakness. You don't necessarily need 10 ride modes to enjoy a mountain road. Sometimes you just need an engine that responds predictably, brakes that inspire confidence, suspension that can absorb the road, and a comfortable riding position that lets you stay in the saddle for hours. The NX500 seems to understand that philosophy perfectly. Now we reach the part that could make the 2026 Honda NX500 one of the most interesting motorcycles in its category: the price. Honda lists the 2026 NX500 at a US-based MSRP of $6,899, plus a $600 destination charge. And that is significant because adventure motorcycles can become expensive extremely quickly. Start adding bigger engines, advanced electronics, premium suspension, large luggage systems, and heavyweight touring equipment, and suddenly you're looking at a motorcycle costing thousands more. The NX500 takes a completely different approach. It says you don't need to spend a fortune to experience adventure touring. You don't need a giant 1000cc engine to cross a country. You don't need a motorcycle that weighs as much as some small cars. And you don't need to wait until you're an expert rider before you can enjoy exploring beyond the city. The NX500 essentially lowers the barrier to entry. For a new rider, it can be a serious next step. For an experienced rider, it can be a lighter, simpler alternative. And for someone who simply wants one motorcycle that can handle commuting, weekend trips, highway travel, and occasional gravel exploration, the value proposition becomes extremely difficult to ignore. But let's not pretend the NX500 is perfect, because that's where the story gets interesting. This isn't a 1000cc flagship adventure monster. It doesn't pretend to be one. The cast wheels, 19/17-inch wheel combination, moderate engine displacement, and approachable chassis reveal what this motorcycle is really designed to do. It is a middleweight adventure tourer, not a competition enduro bike. If your dream is to attack deep sand, launch the motorcycle over massive obstacles, or carry expedition-level luggage through extreme terrain, you should probably look elsewhere. But for the overwhelming majority of riders, those aren't the conditions they encounter every weekend. They encounter potholes, broken pavement, mountain roads, gravel shortcuts, rain, traffic, highways, and long stretches of boring road connecting one beautiful destination to another. That's exactly where the NX500 makes sense. It doesn't need to win a Dakar stage to be useful. It needs to get you to the mountains, carry your luggage, survive the highway, navigate the city, and make you smile when the road suddenly turns into something completely unexpected. And that may actually be the NX500's biggest strength. It's built for the adventures riders actually have. So, is the 2026 Honda NX500 the adventure motorcycle that could change the game? Maybe not because it is the most powerful, the fastest, or the most technologically advanced. It could change the game because it understands something much more important. Most riders don't need extreme performance. They need freedom. Freedom to commute Monday morning, ride through the mountains Saturday afternoon, take a passenger, attach luggage, explore a gravel road, and travel farther without worrying that their motorcycle is too complicated, too heavy, or too expensive. With its 471cc parallel twin engine, 6-speed transmission, standard ABS, 41mm Showa SFF BP fork, long travel suspension, 4.7-gallon fuel capacity, upright ergonomics, and adventure-focused design, the 2026 NX500 has a remarkably balanced package. And at a US starting price of $6,899, it becomes even more compelling. So here's the real question. If Honda gave you a motorcycle capable of turning an ordinary Sunday ride into a 1,000-mile adventure, where would you point it first? The mountains? The coast? A forgotten dirt road? Or would you simply ride until the pavement ends? Tell us in the comments where you'd take the 2026 Honda NX500. And if you want more deep dives into the newest motorcycles, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and stay tuned, because the next adventure could be sitting in your garage.